I don't think it'll ever get old. That's not ever getting old for us. That's magnificent.
Humans don't.
Humans don't. Welcome, Matt. Welcome, everyone, to Humans in 30ish. Luke McCredden here. Matt Peek is with me as always.
Good evening.
Great to see you. It's a funny old time, and we keep on pushing through, Matt. But there's plenty happening around the world.
Oh, things just get weirder and weirder. But the news that we heard through the week, Luke, was quite distressing, wasn't it?
It was distressing. A lot of people out there listening will probably think, "Oh, okay, they're referring to Trump with COVID and big issues like that." But no, there's a much more pressing issue, Matt. And you sent this through to me the other day. You ruined my day, if I'm honest. You threw me, completely rattled me. So I mean, you give it to us. You give it to us the way you saw it unfold.
Well, Vale Sizzler. From discussing it, I think it was in our second episode where we were actually quite positive. We had a sort of positive sandwich around Sizzler, but since then there's been a series of events. I don't know if it was a butterfly effect from our discussion, but I mean it is serious. A lot of people lost their jobs, but I mean really being on JobKeeper, if you were working at Sizzler, you would sort of say that that was kind of pointless because we knew deep down it was in trouble. But I mean, we can't really have a minute silence now because that wouldn't work. But it is a sad day, and Vale Sizzler and Vale the cheese toast and all the options.
I mean, so many options, and I couldn't believe it. I feel like I hadn't heard about Sizzler for decades, and then you brought it up. It was a hot topic. We even heard from the head of operations at Sizzler Australia, Don.
Clive?
Don.
Yeah.
I thought this is great. Like, good on them. They're charging through. That he made a point of saying, check out how we're doing things now, and boom, 2 weeks later or whatever it was. Wow, it's all over.
Yeah, not to make too much light of it because there's businesses in this environment that really suffer, and there's people involved. So deepest sympathies to the team there, and it's the end of an era. What more can we say? It does seem, with everything going on, I haven't felt that my only sanctuary is the four walls of my home, because if I open the door, anything outside, it just feels like chaos. I'm lucky that the home is a sanctuary, but man.
Yeah. No, that was a rattler. That was that got us off guard, and yeah, absolutely. Thoughts go out to our good friends that worked for or are a part of Sizzler Australia. Hopefully they can pull it together and move on.
Well, I think it also signals, in a broader sense, the death of the buffet.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, across hotels, across motels, any other establishment. I think, buffets are going to find it tough, especially over the next 10 years.
They'll find it tough coming back from this. Yeah. That's fair call. Fair call. Well, look, I know, we've got to move on, and we have to move on. This is episode 6 of Humans in 30ish. For people that are new to the podcast, this is basically a situation where Matt and I bring a couple of topics each to the table. Neither of us know what we're about to talk about, and we just go for it and break them down and see what happens, Matt. And it's been a lot of fun to date. There's been some amazing revelations and all sorts of stuff come from it. And, mate, I'm going to hand it to you to kick things off tonight.
Yeah, no, thank you. I wanted to start in an intimate way, actually. Lingerie.
Okay, very intimate.
Yeah, lingerie. So I was watching the Savage X Fenty show on Amazon Prime on Sunday, and that's Rihanna's lingerie line. And Riri, and it is a fantastic line, but the show, the show was absolutely sensational. The pageantry and the fabrics and the materials and the color palettes and the wide range of people that were involved. You had your traditional Victoria's Secrets lingerie, which I used to watch a lot, where I could find it as a teenager. But seeing this production was really inspiring. But it sort of raised a few concerns in my head, because although the male range was very nice, it was robes and certain things like that. compared to just the aesthetic and almost the artistry of the female range, I just feel that the male intimate range across the world is lacking somewhat. And if you let me sort of just explain, because this is
Please.
it is quite technical.
Okay.
I mean, as you know, the female lingerie, the florals and the fabrics, and it's just such thought goes into the design. But when you talk about male underwear, but then male intimate range, yeah, sure, it might be a high quality brief, but from there to like intimate lingerie, it goes from 0 to 100 real quick. It's like comfortable briefs that are kind of a nice brand to like a leather cock and ball show,
Wow.
It's with zips, and it's like, it's too extreme. And I just think there's an opportunity, and I don't think they've quite nailed it yet, to create a line of lingerie or intimate wear for men.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Okay. I haven't thought about the intimate side of male lingerie before. I'm not going to lie.
That's not a surprise.
Yeah. What are you thinking? I mean, what are you talking? Like, give us an idea of where the middle ground is? You've said from 0 to 100. I understand that. What does 50 look like?
Look, I haven't thought about it too much as well. So
I think you have.
Well, okay, maybe all right. I admit, maybe in my travels I've searched what is out there, and it's really in your face. There's nothing subtle about it, right?
Okay, yeah.
But I don't have the solution right now. But let me throw some numbers out there.
Okay.
The lingerie, the global lingerie industry is worth $29 billion. Wow. And they expect by 2025 it to be worth over or close to $50 billion. And I think what's happened in this pandemic and lockdown, well, people can't go out and get dressed up. So the lingerie has been a key thing for people to feel good about themselves, to women to get dressed up. And I think that's been a real positive. But it's highlighted a lack of just options for them. I don't know what the solution is. I mean, okay. But to pardon the pun, I think it's a growth market. I think there's a growth market.
Yeah.
And it's about accentuating the physical attributes, but also no matter what body shape you are, but allowing a male to feel sexy. And I just think if you look at the growth, and I mean, Tom Petrovsky he'll be on TV in 2 years and he'll be commenting on male lingerie. Just watch. It's boom. It's boom time. Okay. And I'd throw it out to our listeners to send in some samples. If we can produce masks en masse at scale so quickly, why not male intimate wear?
I wonder where the demand is, who's asking for it and what that looks like. And I also think it'll take a strong ambassador to really boost things. So, the David Beckhams of the world who have done the fairly generic basic stuff, maybe needs to be someone like that who steps out with something that's in that, a little bit risque type arrangement without being, like you said, all the way to 100 and extreme and in your face. Yeah. Maybe it's got to be, that's what's got to happen. I don't know. Maybe you could start this, Matt.
Well, I've got some ideas. I'm not going to share them yet because it's, I don't have any prototypes. But look, the Beckham thing is a good example. But again, it's just briefs.
Yes.
When the lingerie comes on, it's game time, right? Well, what about when the guy puts something on? How it's with the game? There's two players. Yeah. Maybe there's 3 or 4. Who knows what sort of game you're playing? But I just think it's a massive opportunity. So look, that just got me thinking, and it's nothing to do with equal rights or anything like that. It's just something that I think it's like what Steve Jobs said with his brand or Apple or the phones or the computers. The market doesn't know what they want until you give it to them.
Yeah, it's very true. Yep. And you're just looking at a gap in the market and
a big gap if you're lucky. Yeah.
Yep. So I like that. I mean, why not? Why not? I'm interested to see where that goes. You had a fair influence on Sizzler, so this could be the next thing. You might have pushed this in the right direction, Matt. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't have the solution, but it's something that I'm passionate about. And look, if you look at the numbers and the market cap, there's been the phone, the internet, the aeroplane, the smartphone, all these great ingenuity, and lingerie is one of those. I do think male lingerie could be the next big thing.
Wow. Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call. Well, I suppose changing the course of things a little bit. I wanted to talk to you about an event, a global event that happens that I feel like is just tapering off a bit now. And I've thought about this for the last few years, actually, but it's not until this pandemic that I've thought. I feel like I'm, in my mind, I'm kind of right on this. I think it's slowly dropping off. And what I'm talking about are the Olympic Games. So I feel like no one's really talking about the fact that they were canned this year from Tokyo. Obviously, it was a big thing when it had to be cancelled and whatever. So, but it's kind of just forgotten about. Even to the point where, do you even know it's been rescheduled? Are you aware of this?
I heard some months ago that they were planning to have it in 2021, but it was pretty loosey-goosey.
Well, it's been locked in from all accounts, and I don't feel like it's really publicised. And this is kind of what I'm getting at. And I just feel like maybe since, I don't know, Athens 2004, it's just dropping away ever so slightly. And I don't know whether, I think it's the interest. I just don't know whether the interest is there as much anymore. And I think the TV ratings have plateaued and even dropped off in some cases, which is huge because they're always the record-breaking, ratings and that sort of thing. I don't think the Olympic gold medal is looked at as the holy grail anymore by athletes. I feel like it's more business now. You hear a lot of professional athletes talking about business, and it's the money and all this sort of thing. And economics don't add up. These cities that are hosting the Olympic Games, and I'll use an example of Beijing spent 3.6 billion getting the infrastructure and everything happening. Sorry, they generated 3.6 billion, but they spent 40 billion. So there's a lot of things that don't add up there, and it was the same with London spending 18 billion or something and only getting 5 back. So there's the way the world is at the moment, it's not sort of in a great position to be throwing money away like that. Anyway, what I'm getting at is, and I don't want to see the Olympic Games disappear, but maybe, Matt, it's time for a bit of a rebrand. It's time to think about how the games are done. And
where was it? Where was it? It was Japan, wasn't it? Supposed to be in Japan?
Yeah, Tokyo.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yep.
Look, I think you raise a really valid point because from my point of view, how fast the world moves now, and aside from the pandemic and the challenges that's thrown up for all sports, but the 4-year gap. I mean, the world moves so quickly. I mean, 4 years ago, Trump wasn't president of the USA, right? So 4 years moves so quickly, and within that 4 years, media, how we consume media, the technology, like. There's too much famine for the Olympics now. It needs to be maybe every 2 years. It needs to lift its tempo because I still think, especially now, there will be a thirst to unite the world as what the Olympics would do. And I think people like the Olympics because of those niche sports, but to give athletes a 2-year window instead of that stupid 4-year window, I think that could be a solution. Just have it every 2 years. And I still think it has a relevance. Absolutely. I mean, they're still the greatest athletes in the world in a particular field. But look, I'm with you. I think it's simple, though. Just change the structure. But it's like cricket has faced its challenges with length and really not playing for anything in particular. I think the Olympics, if they make it every 2 years, then people aren't waiting as long. It gives athletes more of a window to make it, and then I think you will see more engagement because there'll be more production and content that comes from it.
And I'm all for traditions, and the Olympics is one of the greatest traditions of all time. But I'm also for change, and I don't think there's anything wrong or to be feared about saying, you know what, some of the sports, or maybe we just rejig the actual sports. Maybe the Olympic Games isn't a competition of X amount of sports and different teams come together. Maybe we break it down. Maybe it's an Olympic game. And it's one event, and maybe the event goes for a couple of weeks, and who knows what that event is.
Like Quidditch or something.
It could be anything. It could be literally you get your best athletes from your country and go at it, and it could be something crazy. Like, you know, the host city has the big bowl where the flame is, but the aim of the game is to light that flame. So each country,
that's right.
That's the game. So each nation has their team of athletes, and they have to go through all sorts of tasks to get that Olympic torch, to get it to the top, to ignite the flame, and bang, you're the winner. You light that flame, you're the winner. You know, I'm just throwing it out there.
You know what I like about it? It's innovative, and I don't think in this world we live in, I don't think there's a bad idea. No. Let's put everything on the table.
Yeah.
You know, as long as you're not in a hot environment where there's bushfires and things like that, you would have to really have some OH&S in place. But
yeah,
you know, I'm with you. I don't know what the solution is, but I still think it has a relevance. I mean, we watched the Kathy Freeman documentary a few weeks ago. Wow, I mean, what a moment to unite Australia. And I think a lot of countries need that. I think the world needs that.
I do too. Yep.
So, wow. Yeah.
But, you know,
a reflective piece there.
Yeah. Thank you. But, you know, let's think.
Did you ever think about going to the Olympics, or like, you know, a sport where you could have made the Olympics
as an athlete?
Yeah.
Oh, I think about it all the time, but I could never do it.
What was the sport?
So growing up in the 90s, we were a strong swimming nation. You know what I mean? Not starting with, but in my time, you know, Kieran Perkins and then right through to Ian Thorpe. We were a strong nation in swimming. And listening to Ray Rabbit's Warren call the swimming, while watching it on the TV, that was inspiring, right? You used to get pumped up watching that. So, you know, that was always cool. But, and I don't want to I'm not taking the piss, because we went to Sydney and watched some of the events at Sydney in 2000. It was an amazing experience, incredible. But, you know, I'm not also saying that I wouldn't enjoy being in the stands watching, 20 nations fight it out for the Olympic torch to try and reach the top to light it either.
It would be more entertaining than swimming. I mean, let's think about it. Why were we watching that?
I don't know. We were drawn in.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just think don't be too narrow-minded when it comes to thinking about Paris in 2024 and LA in 2028. We've got time to change it up if we want to. I'm just saying.
Yep. No, good. Look, this next one is, and I don't mean to offend you if you use this. Okay. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day. Now, I put my hand up and I say I used to say it a lot, but at the beginning of this year, I'm not saying it was a resolution, but I made a commitment to try and avoid at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And it really irritates me now. And I particularly see it with like sporting coaches. You know, at the end of the day, it wasn't our night.
Yeah.
Yeah. It when I did a little bit of research on it, and it originated in 1889, where a guy said, in terms of at the end of the day, it was about at the end of the day, did I earn my wage, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know, that was where it originated from. But now people just use it haphazardly, and a lot of other sayings like, the reality is, like, and. Yeah. I'm committed to not saying those things, although I accidentally said it today because it was on my mind and I was just so embarrassed. But it's used, like, do you think, like, because at the end of the day, he was decapitated. Like, you can't use it like that.
Yeah, totally. No, look,
they irritate me, those sayings, because the issue also is once you say it, you have to say the next thing is like an address. At the end of
Yeah.
the day, you got to deliver big after you say the reality is, or at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
No, it's great. It's a great one. And I'll start by putting my hand up and saying I certainly use it. Have used it. Continue. I don't know. And sometimes I think, and what I was actually about to say was, I think a lot of these things have become part of most people's day-to-day vocabulary. I don't think that we even think about what we're saying half the time. For some reason, these little lines get stuck in your head really quickly, whether it's at the end of the day or reality is, or I'll give you a snapshot of what I'm talking about. You know, those sort of things like the one-worders or the one-liners. But I'm not going to sit here and say I don't use them, because at the end of the day, I use them from time to time. But you are right.
Well, they're like filler, aren't they? But
yeah,
you can never deliver on them. And it's the same with buzzwords, where there'll be a buzzword where if you don't know it, you feel like you're not as smart because everyone knows this trend. Like, do you know about TLDR? Too long, don't read.
No.
In circles of like tech and industry.
Right,
so it's like there's TLDR, then there's like fireside chat, and then there's low hanging fruit and bear traps. And I'm sick of fucking buzzwords.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of these like misrepresentation of analogies.
Mm.
So
do you think,
go.
Do you think our language has become lazy, or we have become lazy on our language? Yeah.
We all want to make these big statements and say things in really presidential ways, but it always backfires. It always backfires.
I think that the most enjoyable times went to hear buzzwords or one-liners or whatever it is when they get put into wrong context. I find that amusing. I find that hilarious, and I think it just shows that they're completely being overused and getting stuck in people's minds far too easily. So, yeah, good one. I mean, there's a whole lot of those lines.
The killer is also, the reality is, it's one of those days, and at the end of the day, if you make your own bed, you sleep in it. I reckon I've heard a combination which doesn't make any sense. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Like, come on, man, say something worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. And
anyway,
I think
I'm worked up about this.
No, and that's fine. And I think to touch on the point you made about the sports coaches or athletes or whatever in the media, I think I almost think they're an exception. I'm not saying it makes it okay, but what I mean is I just think they use it absolutely on purpose, because it's their throwaway lines, and they're not committing to saying anything to these journalists who day to day do their head in. So these coaches or players are just reeling off these one-liners. I mean, the ongoing joke of footballers saying we're taking it 1 week at a time. It actually still gets used. Like it's been going for 50 years, or as long as the media has been calling football.
Yeah, but that's a good example. But it's a cliche, but that's quite literal. But let's say a coach gets up, he should say at the end of the game, blah blah blah. Like just make it literal. Like,
do you know? Can I just give you one that like infuriates me? Absolutely infuriates.
Say it, baby.
And it's relevant to football because I hear it a lot. But only recently, while calling a game, so the game is live, it's happening, and the commentator refers to something or a player as Matt Peek's kicked 3 goals on the night.
6.
But it's on the night, but they're almost referring to it as it's happened and it's finished, but it's mid-game. Like if you were to say, a couple of days later, Matt kicked 6 goals on the night. It was a good game. But during the call, I don't know what it is, but it drives me nuts. I don't know. I think it's an Americanism, if that makes sense. And I've heard, baseball commentators or basketball commentators use that in the States, but I don't know. There's something about when particular Australian commentators use it in a football match. make sense to me, and it just drives me a bit crazy. But that's it's kind of
bloody green shoots and all this crap, back shoulder, all this crap that these that's a new word, that must be smart. Like, just stop making shit up, please.
Yeah.
Please.
You can
Anyway,
sound smart with all that. No, it's good. That's a great. I like it. Yeah, well done.
It is
well done.
what it is.
I'm going to round off the show with it's not too controversial, I don't think, but it is something that I got a message from actually it was my brother during the week, and he said, "Oh, check this out on YouTube. It's just someone's put it on there." And it was from 1998, the video of my high school's Rocker Stedford.
Oh.
And I just all of a sudden had these memories come flooding back. You're my sort of similar age, Matt. Are you familiar? You were involved? Were you in Rocker yeah.
No, I was more of a tournament of minds, man. I was finished state champion, tournament of minds, but finished in the 3 in nationals. Went to nationals, finished 3rd. But no, that's a different story. But no, yeah, Rocker Stedford. I remember all the the buzz and the theatrics. I think it was a daytime TV. When the footy wasn't on.
Yeah.
I'd see the Rocker Stedford. I think it was on Channel 7 and.
Yep.
Yeah. It was big.
It was huge, and it was it went for 30 years. I think it ran for every year. High schools around the country would have teams of up to 100. I think it was, but it was basically a dance drama performance, which was a competition. So it was kind of a battle of the bands type scenario, state by state, and I just when I watched all these memories come flooding back, and I just thought, it's such a shame that this isn't around anymore. And it about 2012, I think it might have been, or 2010. The funding for it was
it got political, didn't it? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. The lack of
bureaucrats.
Yeah, and it was a charity that basically was sort of running it, and they were hoping, they were at the mercy of getting funding from government or various organisations to keep it going, and it was just the most magnificent event. There was a good message behind it. It was all about anti-drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, and that sort of thing, because it was all school kids involved. There were studies done around the fact that
they weren't doing drugs backstage.
Anti-drugs.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like I looked it up the other day because I was sort of curious, and in 2005, up to I think there was about 100,000 kids, high school age kids, that from over 800 schools that participated in that's in 1 year, and like that's a big powerful thing. And the reason I brought it up, and I'm really disappointed to hear that it doesn't happen anymore, was the memories of, you talked about, in the Olympics, that united feeling of having, the world get together. There was nothing in my experience in high school that united the students more than this Rocker Stedford. Like, I'm talking about, kids that were, the rebels that would put out their cigarettes behind the shed, then go into the Rocker Stedford rehearsal. That the jocks playing footy or basketball and then coming in, and then the kids that were somewhat antisocial, that would sort of just do their thing quietly and would study most lunchtimes and whatnot, and that's fine, would get involved as well. There was this huge mix of people, and when you're in that environment, there was no hierarchy. Everyone was just having the best time, and you'd get to the performance and the adrenaline would be running, you'd be high-fiving people that you'd never speak to at school, but it was this huge united coming together of people that it's such a shame that it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I mean, knowing Australia, I could imagine there'd be a lot of catfighting behind the scenes in an event like that, with some of the adults probably ruined it, to be fair, I would assume. But, you see it in even our artistic culture, that whether it be film or music, or, those pathways seem blurry now, and it's not as promoted. Like that platform, in encouraging people to express themselves and work together and sing and dance and all that thing, that could have given a lot of people confidence and pathways through their adulthood. But, we just don't see that as part of our culture. we don't see that as embrace. And I agree with you. I think it's it used to be televised on national TV.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal.
That's huge.
Like it's like in America, there's the Little League World Series, where they celebrate, the young people playing baseball, and it's one of the biggest TV events in America. And I'm with you. They're those things that if you lose in a culture, you generations can sort of be a little bit, I'm not confused, but they end up going in sort of different paths, and that culture of art sort of gets lost a little bit. And I'm hoping, we can get it back. I mean, it's like the Glee Club, isn't it? They show Glee. Is it sort of, but yeah, I'm with you, man.
I'd love to see it come back, and I just think that the confidence it put in it's instilled in people. You can't buy that sort of that confidence coming from working with 100 of your mates or 50 of your mates on a stage in front of a full Rod Laver Arena, or wherever they did it towards the end there. But there's something about that I just wanted to put it out there. I'd love to hear some thoughts from people that might be listening, that maybe there's a chance we can lift this off the ground again for the kids in the future.
Well, it feels tonight, Luke, we've put a lot out there that we're motioning for change, from male lingerie to the reformatting the Olympics, to getting rid of some stupid, I guess, analogies, to the Rock of Stedford. I mean, we're asking a lot of our audience and the world right now, and the challenge is out there.
Yeah, well, if you can bankrupt Sizzler, Matt, you can do anything. Sorry, I don't mean to throw you under the bus, but
I know. Look, it's been one of those weeks. It's been one of those weeks where I'm just searching. I'm searching for something, for change.
Well, there we go.
And this episode has brought that to fruition.
Too right it has. Absolutely. Yeah. I think we've done it well. So
it's evolution.
Oh, it is. It is. It's time for thinking outside the square more than ever before. And if some of the things that we've brought up tonight, and maybe some of the things in the future,
thinking outside the square. Okay, I don't. But hey, call it out. Call it out.
You have. All right. I'll be very careful choosing my words from here on in. From here on in, is that one? I don't know. I don't know anymore.
No, that's perfect. No, okay. I know. I'm being too harsh.
You're making me nervous.
Yeah, I'm making a mountain out of molehill.
What? One thing you simply won't be able to deny, Matt, is our outro music, mate. And
I'm gonna ponder while we listen.
Yeah. You sit there, think about all the things we've discussed, and I thank everyone for tuning into this episode.
Maybe the Olympics could be the Rock of Stedford.
Holy shit! And the uniforms could be male lingerie.
Did we just do that?